Welcome. Due to the newfound explosion of popularity due to my video of ULTRAKILL's lore, I decided to revisit the game and read a bit more into everything going on. Luckily, a few days ago, Hakita, the lead developer, posted a 7-hour stream of developer commentary on the design choices and lore tidbits, details, and such with Peter, a programmer for the game. I watched it all the way through, writing notes on things relevant to the story. And this is what I have found. Before I begin, this video is a sort of revisit of the previous video, with more clarifications and a more cohesive script. Watching the previous video isn't necessary, but there are details there that I haven't mentioned here. Now, let's go over the story again, just so we're on the same page. ULTRAKILL story TLDR. Sometime before the prelude, God disappeared, and heaven was in chaos, with the angels temporarily abandoning hell. Minos helped lust undergo a renaissance, while Sisyphus formed an insurrection in greed. A council of angels was created in God's stead, and Gabriel killed both Minos and Sisyphus, ending the lust renaissance and the greed uprising. Unrelated, a war on Earth led to blood-fueled robots, but then everyone declared peace. Humanity was then rendered extinct soon after. Soon, the machines humans created stormed hell. Minos' corpse was killed again. Minos' soul was killed. Minos really taking a beating here, and Gabriel was defeated and punished by the council. That is all but confirmed through lore reveals and gameplay. Regarding the speculations discussed in the previous video, it is assumed that humans were rendered extinct by the blood-fueled robots they created for war. When they declared peace, blood rations ran dry, but they needed to kill to survive, leaving humanity overwhelmed and eventually wiped out. With the humans gone, they ran to hell as it was their only option. The other speculation is the whereabouts of God. In my previous video, I stated that God is controlling V1 via possession in an attempt to completely wipe out the surface, hell, and eventually heaven, due to his rage over his constantly failing human experiment. Now that the recap is over, let's go to the meat of the video.
Alright, let's get it started in here. Nerd!
The notes I took are in this order.
Zoinkers, this is gonna be a boring one.
Clarifications, such as more evidence or even new or revised theories discussed in the previous video. Future content, stuff that Hakita has mentioned and things that I think is likely to occur in the future. And lastly, lingering questions and food for thought. These are just things I'm wondering due to what I'm seeing here, or things with no clear answer yet. Hello, future Shad here. This script is way too goddamn long for the first part, so I need to finish the rest of the bullet points in a separate video. I apologize for the wait. Now, without further ado, let's begin going down the line. Let's begin by clarifying the timeline. Minos Prime's lore entry is integral to the cosmic side of the story. It directly states that God has disappeared, so that is confirmed. It is also implied that God is still gone, due to the syntax used by the council during Gabriel's Senate's hearing. That, or the council is like the jury plus the prosecution, while God just watches as an overseer. It is also confirmed that heaven was in a period of chaos and the angels were lost, also shown through the lore entries of Minos Prime and the Sisyphean Insurrectionist. This directly results in the angels temporarily abandoning hell, leaving Minos to reform the Lust Layer and Sisyphus forming his insurrection. In those same lore entries, it states that the council then took control of heaven and brought stability through their Iron Fist rule. This continues to today, where Gabriel was punished directly by the council themselves. Side note, the C in council is lowercase in Minos Prime's lore entry, but uppercase in other appearances. It's probably a typo, but with theories you can't leave anything out. Moving on, Gabriel and an army of angels returned to hell. Minos had transformed the Lust Layer because he didn't think that loving someone else was worth eternal damnation. He tried to reason with Gabriel, but he was instantly smitten, much to the horror of their inhabitants. Gabriel then inherited the title of the Judge of Hell, where he chooses which layer sinners are destined to be tortured, as a way of filling in the power vacuum, and also to be close by if Minos became a prime soul, which he did. Afterward, he and his army went down to Greed and crushed the rebellion, killing Sisyphus, and rendering many husks incapable of fighting back, except for being able to suffer their punishment properly. They likely went down the layers to treachery if they did similar blasphemous acts against God's plan for sinners, but we have yet to confirm. With the rebellion stopped and order restored through the Council of Heaven, things were alright. As alright as they could be with God nowhere to be seen. Now, all that occurred at an unknown point in time. It happened, but it's not clear when exactly. If it happened years prior, or if it even happened concurrently with the events happening on Earth. Let me explain. On Earth, it seems there was another world war in the year 2112, and likely some years prior. This war led to the innovation of robots fueled by blood, including, but not limited to, drones and V1. This blood fueling worked because, in times of war, bloodshed was nearly everywhere. Now, I stated prior that after the war, something called the New Peace was put into place. In my previous video, I postulated that this new peace was the result of humanity's extinction, because there was no war. Because all humans are dead. But I want to rescind that. Is it possible that the discovery of hell is the reason why the new peace was established and war became irrelevant? Think about it. If you were to discover hell, complete with layers for the type of sin, and eternal torture for those who aren't demons or angels, who also actually exist, now that you know that the person you killed could spend forever in perpetual physical and mental agony, and since every person alive has committed or is committing a sin that would get them into hell and experience infinite pain for all of time, and definitely a possibility of Satan himself, would that not be a pretty damn good incentive to not kill people? Would it not make sense for you to make peace with everyone, get along, and start working on being a better person so you wouldn't go to hell? I believe that is what happened. The war on Earth brought about the blood-fueled robots, but eventually, humans discovered the entrance to hell and confirmed that unfathomable despair and anguish are real, and are accelerating as a direct result of the current war. No one wants to die or go to hell. No one wants to be tortured or enslaved or left at the mercy of capital G God. So everyone drops what they're doing, agrees that war is overrated, and unites under the pretense that no one deserves what is happening behind that ominous door with the two statues. And it fits together with the lore entries and the game design as well. It seems I have failed to notice these things before. Hindsight is 2020. The preluded section was described by Hakita as a factory, shown by the spinning shredders, piping, huge fans, and crushing pistons that minced minerals or rocks or something. Either way, something related to hell is getting processed here, and this factory is of human design. Furthermore, the lore entry for the street cleaners directly states that they were repurposed from purifying the city's toxic air into being scouts for exploring hell. It later mentions that they began burning any organic material they meet after the fall of mankind. So this means that we knew that hell existed before we kicked the bucket, and even started sending robots to map the place out. In addition, the entry for the drones says that they were built as surveillance cameras and security guards. Likewise, the entry for V2 doesn't directly state this, but the wiki for the machines describes V2 as a more durable peacekeeper to be deployed during times of peace. That is the answer to the previous enigma over V2's existence. V2 was developed as a way to force peace among humanity, along with the drones, as a way of being 100% absolutely sure that no one was killing anyone for stupid reasons, potentially subjecting them to unfair damnation. So it would make sense that before our extinction, V2 would have been like a robot Batman, never killing, but using force to keep the peace. Street cleaners have an innate desire to burn away imperfection, so it would make sense that context doesn't matter to a robot, and they must always follow their directive. So when humanity was wiped out, V2 still had a desire to keep the peace. However, unlike humans, machines have no soul.
I have no soul.
And thus are not subject to suffering in hell. So V2 is free to kill, or in this case, destroy, any rogue robots to prevent any deaths, including V1. Ever wonder why all levels with V2 are completely barren of any enemies, except a few after it dies? I digress. All boss levels like this have no enemies beforehand, but it is interesting to note with V2, specifically given this context. Once again, another update was released right in the middle of my editing. I checked out the new secret and...
Well, this looks familiar.
At first glance, it's a huge corpse strung up to the dark walls. After going in with cheats, I found the hidden hands, a missing head, and barbed wire laced around it. This looks very similar to the corpse of King Minos, but with the head severed. The model even has similar metal plating around the neck area as well. Though, strangely, there is a portrait of a blindfolded, bearded man behind the new railgun variant. Aside from that, the new update also added a lore entry for V2's second boss battle, and... uh-oh. This lore entry says that my hypothesis of V2 not requiring blood to operate due to its role as a peacekeeper was wrong. V2 dove deeper into hell, killing other machines for their blood to help with its recovery. meaning that V2 does, in fact, require blood to operate, same as the other machines. This also means that my theory of its supposed role as a peacekeeper might be flawed too. I can see how this may be possible for it to be a peacekeeper while still running on blood. Perhaps most of the technology for robots revolved around blood, and other methods, such as gasoline fueling or battery power, are obsolete by comparison. And since V2 is a one-machine army, you didn't need to make so many of them. So while no bloodshed was necessary, it could rely on blood donations. Regardless, I guess that makes V2 an enigma again, but instead of its creation a mystery, now its desire to collect blood calls into question its concept and its purpose. At least I can throw out my wandering thought of a V3. Moving away from that topic, Hell was discovered and war stopped. But the robots they created needed war and blood to survive, so they began to starve. They resorted to violence to get their fill, and they very likely overwhelmed humanity, causing the extinction. This is what I believe to be
the crimes thy kind have committed against humanity.
Minos Prime states in his beginning monologue. With humans extinct, the only other source of blood were the husks, demons, and angels of hell. So the robots had a choice to either start digging or starve. And that's the story revealed in the game. One is explored as we go through. But let's not forget the V1 is God theory. I mostly said my evidence in the previous video, but I'll go over them again. In the terminals at the end of the secret missions, most contain a testament that states an ominous and poetic message that something is angry at humans, calling them a failure, wishing for their self-inflicted demise, frustration over failures, and wasted cycles of creation because they don't want to follow this being's word and that they can't unmake hell. I connected the dots about machines wiping out humanity, us killing a supreme husk, an angel, and a prime soul. I can excuse pinpoint accuracy, crowd control, and extreme mobility on V1 being built for a one-machine army. But for it to single-handedly kill a giant husk of an outstanding and popular figure in human and hell society, then go inside it and kill that thing's soul, which turned into something that even the entirety of heaven and all its archangels are afraid of, then go on to wipe the floor with said archangel in one sitting? Something is up. With Hakita saying that we will have a rematch with Gabriel at his fullest potential at some point in the timeline.
I don't know if it's spoilers, but will Heresy end in a Gabriel rematch? Yes, it will.
I think it would make sense that we would serve his ass on a silver platter too. Machines, especially ones so weak, just aren't capable of this kind of power. That's why Gabriel was punished so harshly.
Like the only way they believe that the only way that a machine can beat an angel is if the angel purposefully loses. Because it's kind of like if you would say, oh, I was just in a fight with an ant and an ant fucking wrecked me. And that's why when Gabriel goes up to the council and is like, machine beat me up, and they're like, you're a fucking traitor. You lost on purpose. You're failing God's will and stuff.
Gabriel bested by a machine is so goddamn pathetic that his entire near-perfect legacy was tarnished, resulting in his punishment. Do you really think any other machine could have done that? Perhaps that's why V1 can respawn and have checkpoints. God's heavenly power could resurrect or even turn back time to keep trying over and over. Additionally, during the fight with Minos Prime, if you die, he says every time. To me, this strikes me as one of two things. He's saying your attempts to kill him are useless, or that his attempts to kill you are useless. There's a lot to the lore of this game, but the details paint a pretty clear picture. Wrath has yet to release, but it will be soon, and with it, I'll be along to review all I can to keep you guys updated on the lore. I got stupid famous for this, and I'm going to keep this momentum, goddammit. Anyway, that's the end of part 1. Thanks for watching up to this point, and seriously, I thank all of you for giving my channel a shot. I admit I don't post often, but I will try to improve quality as a trade-off for abysmal quantity. I'll keep making videos like this since it is also fun for me. Anyway, thanks again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.